All right. So next we have our final question from Mark, and this is going to be a shorter one, but just to recap. So we had Todd's question about why do people believe the doomsayers, and then Andrew's question about what's your evaluation of CO2. And in both cases, I just want to observe the key to answering both of those, and the key differentiating my perspective from others was this issue of framework. Where are you starting out? What are you taking for granted? And I'm taking for granted, I'm evaluating everything, including the state of the earth, by a human flourishing standard, not by an unchanged nature standard. And I am not assuming that the earth is perfect pre-human. I'm recognizing that it's imperfect from a human flourishing perspective, and recognizing it's dynamic, dangerous, deficient, and that we need to transform it dramatically, which means we need a lot of productive ability, which means we need a lot of energy, which means we need low cost energy production. Okay, Mark's question. I would like to know your thoughts about the recent Michael Moore film, Planet of the Humans. It's overwhelmingly anti-human, but is also anti-green energy and critical of a lot of green advocates like McKibben, Al Gore, Sierra Club 350, etc. I watched it on YouTube, and a glance at the comments showed that a lot of people found it made them depressed and hopeless, along with the very occasional pro-nuke comment. Anyway, I wonder what, if any, effect you think it might have on the climate and energy debate, and whether there is a way that it might help the pro-reliable energy argument. Okay, I'm sure Mark already knows this because I think he's a subscriber to the newsletter, but just so you know, I've done 2 episodes on this, 2 episodes of Power Hour on this, where you can get most of my perspective on this question, but I'm going to cover one angle here that I haven't fully covered there. But if you just go to youtube.com/improve the planet, you can find the Planet of the Humans videos. Obviously, if you're going a lot later in time than I'm recording this May 13th, then may not be as recent. So if you just search Alex Epstein, Planet of the Humans, they should come up. And the titles are the 5 things Planet of the Humans gets mostly right, and the 5 things Planet of the Humans gets totally wrong. But in terms of where there can be a positive difference, the thing that the movie does well is something I do think is important, and particularly in the last year, I've come to think is even more important than I thought it was before, which is demonizing, or we can think of it as deifying green energy. So to deify is to make God-like or exalted. And you can think of it as solar and wind have a halo over them. And that is a very dangerous situation when you have a technology that people view as perfect, God-like, no flaws, supremely virtuous. It's hard if people, they just view it as pure benefit, and they're viewing it as outside the context of really reality, which is that things tend to have benefits and costs that you need to weigh. Or I often think of it as benefits and side effects that you need to weigh. And part of what the movie does well, which I talked about in the first episode I did on this, is it helps people understand that energy is a process, and that puts energy into reality. So it has a lot of specific images and descriptions of the process by which, sunlight-based energy, wind-based energy, batteries for storing and deploying energy, that those are made. And so it's really important that energy is a process. When you recognize energy as a process, and when you're aware of some of the negatives of the process, that can contribute to cost-benefit thinking. And that is a super, super valuable thing to have happen. So what I recommend is if people are already going to watch this. So if you talk to them, you might emphasize, look, it's important that every form of generating energy is a process, and different processes have different benefits and side effects, and we need to be objective about them. We can't just look at the side effects of fossil fuels and nuclear and only the benefits of solar and wind. We have to be much more even-handed about it. And if we do that, that's a form of framing a conversation. Then people will be more open to hearing about what are the benefits of low-cost energy in general for human life. And then you can start to put them on the path of energy is making the world a much better place to live over time versus a worse place to live. A third aspect of this value, so it helps people understand energy as a process. It contributes to cost-benefit thinking. A third value, which is very time-sensitive, is that it helps counter an immediate threat, which is the Green New Deal. Right now, and more broadly, 100% renewable. This idea of 100% renewable polls incredibly well, It's just, and it's really captivated a lot of people. And it's really important that people have many negative associations with, quote, renewable energy, because it has many negative attributes. Above all, it's not very good at producing energy. That's the main one. But by putting it in the category of a real industrial process, it helps people grasp everything about it, including why it would cost a lot. Because if you see it as this magical thing where we just change sunlight into electricity, with it's totally clean and seems totally free, yeah, people will think, yeah, why not do 100% renewable? But if you see it as, oh, it's this massive process of transforming this dilute and intermittent sunlight into huge amounts of reliable energy, yeah, I can see why that's super expensive and why in practice they're really just getting fossil fuels to do most of the work and really putting in solar as a, as a luxury or as virtue signaling. Now, so that's the value of it, that it's deifying or even demonizing green energy. So you can use it as a good basis, but the most important thing to do at that point is then offer a positive alternative. And this, I would suggest, the moral case for fossil fuels, or just more broadly, our work at the Center for Industrial Progress on energy. So refer them to industrialprogress.com, hopefully encourage them to sign up for the mailing list, send them the moral case for fossil fuels, refer them to youtube.com/improve the planet. But they really need to know that there's a pro-human perspective on this. As you mentioned in the question, Mark, it's incredibly depressing if you just see, oh yeah, green energy isn't as good as I think, and you think the whole planet's being destroyed. That is a real position for depression and even despair. And there's no reason. The people watching this, they live on the best planet that's ever existed. It's generally getting better and better. And they should know that, and they should embrace what's making it better, and then try to reduce anything that's negative, but really embrace that energy empowering billions of people. That makes the world a better place for everyone to live.
Power Hour. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of energy. Power Hour. The antidote to shallow thinking about energy issues.